This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Defended in the corner!
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win! The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker! Kenneth Walker! Touchdown! Smarty!
Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, ends up.
Yes!
Caught! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! They did it! Amon-Ra St. Brown in the receiving end!
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here! A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Good morning, everyone. This is not Anthony Bellino. He is serving the greater good today. He's out in Los Angeles with the Michigan Wolverines football team. This is Jeff Risdon. I'm filling in for AB today and also on Tuesday while he celebrates what's hopefully a Michigan victory out there in the Rose Bowl against Alabama. We're certainly going to talk about that as the day progresses here. Welcome. Good morning. This is my first time doing the morning show. Many of you might know me from working with Huge on the Huge Show across many of these same stations. I am the managing editor of the Detroit Lions Wire at USA Today and also the Draft Wire at USA Today. So we're going to talk some Lions. Obviously, it's a great time to be a Lions fan. We've got a fantastic game coming up tomorrow night in Dallas. We'll see how that goes. I'm cautiously optimistic, sort of in the pessimistic range. I don't know. We'll talk our way through that. Got a fun show today coming up. It's the last show of the calendar year 2023. Hard for me to believe that we've made it that far already. 2024 right around the corner, and it's been a heck of a year on a number of levels for a number of different sports teams. And we will, yes, we have to talk about the Detroit Pistons. Setting the record last night, they I don't know how they did it, but they did it. 19-point lead at halftime, and they still found a way to lose in overtime by 6. Rough time to be a Pistons fan. We have to talk about that. We just have to, because it's anytime a team sets a record for futility, and we know something about that in the Detroit markets. It's got to be addressed. What a headache. I really thought this was going to be a better year for the Pistons. But I'm a Lions guy, so we're going to lead with the Detroit Lions this morning. They have a massive opportunity tomorrow night in Dallas, in Jerry World, while Jerry Jones is celebrating himself by, graciously allowing Jimmy Johnson, the greatest thing that he ever did, to come back into the building and get inducted into the Ring of Honor. That's going to be a special moment if you're a Cowboys fan. And there's a weird amount of Cowboys fans everywhere. I don't like the America's team thing, but y'all are everywhere. It's kind of funny, but this is a chance for the Lions to go out and seize the number 2 seed in the NFC. They're still in play for the number 1, too. But number 2 is very realistic if they get this win in Dallas, because the Cowboys and Eagles are their competition for the number 2 seed. Philly's currently ahead. Dallas has been playing better football than Philadelphia has the last couple months. Philadelphia has fallen hard. Some of that might have to do with their new defensive coordinator, one Matt Patricia. Gee, I wonder if we're all surprised about their defensive failings there. I feel for Darius Slay. I really do. But anyway, this is a chance for the Lions to go out and win a pseudo playoff game for a team that hasn't played in a playoff game since 2016. Taylor Decker was the only guy on the team still here from then. And we need to see how this team responds to a pressure situation like that. And I don't have a great feel for how well this team will come out and how the Lions will be focused, because obviously they're going to want to win. And, it means something to Dan Campbell. They clearly still have a lot to play for. But do they have any, underwriting sense of mission accomplished? Because they did, in fact, win the NFC North by beating Minnesota in Minnesota last weekend. That was just a phenomenal game. I hope you're still reliving the glory of that, because that was – well, I tell you what, when Iffy when he picked off that pass, I might have done some things that scared my cat into perennial hiding. I'm not sure if she's come out yet, because it was loud, it was raucous, it was celebratory. And, as Lions fans, and I've been a Lions fan for a very long time, back to the Silver Rush and the Billy Sims era, my number 20 jersey for the Lions is Billy Sims. It's not a throwback. It doesn't even come close to fitting. I think it's a youth large, but I haven't worn that in a very long time. But usually when we're getting raucous about the Detroit Lions, it's throwing a beer can at the television. It's being upset. It's screaming profanities. It's, just frustration. And this year has changed that. And the ability to go out and win a game like that on the road, I think says a lot. I think that had the feel of a playoff game, even though Minnesota didn't have a playoff caliber quarterback, and they found that out. They benched Nick Mullins after his 4-interception outing. They're going to start Jaron Hall in their game against Green Bay, in a game where the winner could very well be the Lions' first-round playoff opponent. And I like that idea very much, because I think the Lions are a lot better than the Packers and the Vikings, and I think most people would agree with that. But going into Dallas is different, because Dallas is playing for a lot. If they win, they've got a good shot at getting that number 2 seed, winning the NFC East. And they really need to play at home, because they have won 15 games in a row at home. On the road, they're not that good. They have struggled a lot. And that's one of the things that concerns me about this game. But it's also one of the things that, is why they know they have to come out and win if they have any shot at getting a playoff home game. Because if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I feel pretty good about beating Green Bay, Minnesota, Atlanta, Seattle, in Dallas. If I got to go on the road to New Orleans, Tampa Bay, whoever wins the NFC South, and hopefully they have a winning record, I'm not sure the Dallas Cowboys can do that, quite frankly. They might be able to. They certainly have the talent to do it, but they haven't shown that they can win on the road yet. So the motivation is much greater, I think, for the Cowboys, and we will see how they handle that. That's a Cowboys team that hasn't exactly handled pressure all that well over the past few years, really, and since Barry Switzer left all those years ago. And Mike McCarthy, Lions fans remember him as the coach of the Green Bay Packers, and a guy who underachieved with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, and a lot of great teams. And they just didn't respond to pressure all that well either. So I'm curious as to how that's going to go for them as well. And that's one of the things that makes this game tomorrow night, 8:15. You can watch it on your ABC affiliate. It will be broadcast over the air. It will also be on ESPN if you choose to watch it that way. I don't know if they're doing a Manning cast or an alternate broadcast. I hope they are. That would be great. We'll see. But there's a lot of excitement going on around this game. We're going to have a couple of guests later on in the show. In the 8 o'clock hour, Russell Brown from Lions Wire, my underling, and great respect for him, will be joining us. And also Eric Schlitt will be joining us from Pride of Detroit. somebody that I've worked with for a very long time and I consider a very good friend. He will also be helping break down what's going on with the Cowboys. We are going to talk some Michigan, Alabama. I tried my best to get an Alabama guest on. I know several of their beat writers. Nobody wants to get up this early. Y'all are weak. Hope that carries over to your football team. But we're going to have a fun time this morning. Again, this is Jeff Risdon sitting in on X's and Bros. This is my first time sitting in here in the morning. I got producer Ben here to my right. Shout out to everybody on YouTube watching along, and Ryan pushing all the buttons there. It's going to be a fun show. I'm looking forward to it. When we get back, we are going to talk about the Pistons, though, and what they did last night, and the heartbreak, or maybe it's not a heartbreak if you're a Pistons fan. We'll see about that. But and also, if you know me at all, you know that I'm a weather guy. So we're going to bring the weather back, and we will do a little bit of a weather breakdown when we come back as well. So when we get back from break, we're going to have some fun talking Pistons, Lions, Bama, Michigan, college football playoff, and more. Stay tuned.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he is a managing shareholder at Br0's, soon to be Doran Mayhew at the end of the year. And with the merger, there is growth and a chance for you to fill an executive or other high-level finance-related roles, either at Br0 here in downtown Grand Rapids or over at the Doran Mayhew World Headquarters in Troy, or at any of their offices across the country and around the world. They have a national specialized talent pool with ideal candidates for long-term placement, ongoing support for post-placement success. So if you're looking for that next chapter in your professional career, talk to Josh Garvey and the team at Br0. Easiest way, you can call Br0, ask for Josh Garvey, or go to their website, BENEGARTR.com, or look for Br0, soon to be Doran Mayhew, on Facebook and on Twitter.
Ring in the new year and get game day deals with One Stop at Meijer. Shop extra large avocados for 99 cents each. Select Coca-Cola, Pepsi, 7-Up, or Dr. Pepper products. Buy 2, get 1 free. Plus deposit where applicable. And select Lay's party-sized chips or poppables, 2 for $6. Plus, pay the same low Meijer prices no matter how you shop, in-store or online. Cheer on your favorite team and celebrate the new year when you shop quality and One Stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Good morning. Welcome to the last working day of 2023. X's and Bros this morning. This is Jeff Risdon sitting in for Anthony Bellino, who is out, hopefully sleeping, because he's out in Los Angeles covering the Wolverines and all the activities that are going on out there with the Michigan football team and Jim Harbaugh and getting ready to play Alabama on Sunday night. Should be a fun game. I don't have a feel for that one either. We were talking in the last segment. I don't really have a great feel for how this Lions game is going to go tomorrow night. I also don't have a great feel for how the Michigan-Alabama game is going to go. I can see paths of victory for either team. And I do tend to think that Michigan's going to win the game, but there's a lot of variables that go into that. But since it's the morning and you're tuning in and you're just getting up on the day, good morning. Hope you enjoy your coffee. I'm sort of enjoying my gas station coffee here. I'm not an early riser, so it was weird being in on that. But if you know me, you know that I initially went to college. I am an Ohio Bobcat. I'm from north central, north coast of Ohio. If you know where Cedar Point is, I grew up right by there. And I went to OU to be a TV weatherman. And that did not work out, but I still have my degree in climatology. Good. By the way, kids, if you're not going to do TV weather, don't get a degree in climatology. Not a good idea. But we're going to do the weather. I have the Storm Team 8 Wood TV weather forecast here. It is currently, as my professor, Dr. Isaac, the late Dr. Isaac, he unfortunately passed away recently, used to say, if you really want to know what the weather is, stick your head out the freaking window. I can't do that because that window right there, for those of you watching on YouTube, is locked. We're high up in the 96.1 The Game studios here in West Michigan, in downtown Grand Rapids, but it is currently 41 degrees and cloudy. It was drizzly as I came in, one of those mornings where the intermittent windshield wipers were a little bit too much, but you still needed them. Going up to, let's see, we got, high of 46 today. 42 today. I can't read. Didn't bring my reading glasses in. It's early in the morning. High of 42. Going down to 28 tonight. Not gonna need the sunglasses today. And as someone who wears sunglasses habitually, that's sad. You might see the sun tomorrow, however, though. As it clears out, the wind's going to change a little bit from the north. Will also be a high of 41 on Saturday. Sunday, overnight, there could be snow. That's New Year's Eve. Be careful as you're driving out there. It's already amateur night. It's a night where you really need to be careful and vigilant on the roads because people who don't normally party go out and party, and they don't always be responsible with that. Hopefully you're not one of those people, but you have to be wary because the other guy might be. And slick conditions, high of 35, low of 30. That's going to be a problem for that sort of weather. You could get some slush in there. But hopefully you can get out Saturday and enjoy a little bit before the Lions play. That game's at 8:15 Eastern Time. And I will be intently watching to see what happens with the Detroit Lions now that they've got a playoff berth clinched. I don't remember if they've ever clinched this early before. They certainly haven't. I've been covering the team professionally since 2011 was the first year that I ran what used to be Detroit Lions Draft. That has since, and I think there's actually still a Twitter account that's active with that. I don't even have the credentials for that. Somebody else runs it, but ran that. I covered the team for Bleacher Report for a couple of years, covered the team for a couple of other outlets, and I have been with Lions Wire and the Wire Network. My first day there was actually Christmas Eve of 2016. So I've seen some things there too. I don't think they've clinched, and they've been to the playoffs. They have not won a playoff game. They have a very good chance of winning the playoff game this year, and I don't care who they play, the game will be in Ford Field. When they play it, whether it's the first round, the weekend after Week 18, when they play the Vikings, and who knows what's going to happen in that game, because there's a lot going on between now and then that could determine what's going on with the Lions, what's going on with the Vikings, what's going on around the rest of the NFC. But this is uncharted waters for the Detroit Lions. Having the division wrapped up, 2 games to play, you've got a playoff-like game here in Dallas. I hope they bring it. I expect them to bring it. I don't think that Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson are going to relent at all. But in the back of my mind, I wonder, like, if they get down 10-0 on the first couple of drives, do they? I don't want to say accept, but like, do they understand that maybe there's bigger battles to be won, and you acquiesce that you're not going to be the number 1 seed? You give that to the San Francisco 49ers, who are probably the only team in the postseason that I would pick the Lions to lose to if they played head-to-head. I don't see any reason why the Lions can't beat any other team. And by the way, they can also beat San Francisco. They certainly match up well with some things that San Francisco doesn't do well. And that's sort of the key in the playoffs. The better team doesn't always win the game. It's about matchups. It's about who's hot. It's about who's healthy. And I'm liking the way the Lions are rolling into this. And going into Dallas, they were 6-point underdogs on the DraftKings Sportsbook Hotline odds. It's down to 5.5 this morning. And that means that some money has flowed in on the Lions. It's interesting that's going on, because it seems like the money would be going the other way, with the Lions having clinched and Dallas having so much to play for. But it feels like the gambling cognoscenti also agrees that the Lions aren't going to play dead on this, that they're going to go out and try to win it. And they do have things to play for here. They can get the number 1 seed. It's not terribly difficult, and how they get it. They have to win their last 2. San Francisco has to lose one of its last 2. They happen to play a game where the Los Angeles Rams and old friend Matthew Stafford are trying to win their way into the postseason. That's going to be a very difficult game for San Francisco, which has not played their best football as of late either. So there's still a lot to be determined. Now, me personally, said this on the Detroit Lions podcast the other night, which I co-host. Thank you, everybody who listens to the podcast. I appreciate that. I don't necessarily want the number 1 seed. I don't want the bye. I want to keep playing. Because this team's playing very good football right now. Now, you asked me if they lose this next game, maybe I'll change my mind, even though it's technically impossible. But I like the way that this team is gelling together. They're relatively healthy. We're going to Dallas. We're only going to be missing Brock Wright. That's a pretty good way to go. Cam Sutton, questionable. That's kind of a big deal. He's your best cornerback. Quarterback isn't exactly the strength of the team. We'll jump off that bridge when we get to it. But I like the idea of staying hot and keep on playing. You're going to play your first-round game. It'll be in Detroit. It's going to be against a wild card team, whether it's the Seahawks or Rams or the winner of the Packers-Vikings game. I happen to think the Packers are going to take that game, even though it's in Minnesota. It could be one of the teams out of the NFC South. One of the 3 teams right now that's still in contention down there. Everybody but Carolina still has a lot of playoff vitality there. I want that game. I don't want to wait one more week and play a team that just won a playoff game and has some confidence and is feeling good. I've seen that happen with some other teams, and they don't handle it all that well. The Baltimore Ravens famously have not been a very good number 1 seed at all. There's just something about it. The Tennessee Titans a couple times have gone 13-3 and gotten bounced in their first playoff game. Whether it's the rest, whether it's the rust, whether it's the idea that you're playing a team that just got some confidence and has the ball rolling forward because they just won a postseason game, I don't know. I'm happy with a 2 seed. I do want the 2 and not the 3, though. Lions got to win at least one of these last 2 games, and hopefully both. And things will take care of themselves. And again, I'm not afraid of any playoff. I'm not afraid of any opponent in the playoffs. I expect the Lions to win the first game, and I'm waiting for the Thunderbolt to strike me down from up above with my bold confidence in the Detroit Lions, because they have won 1 playoff game in my lifetime. I'm in my 50s. I'd rather add on to that total a little bit. Yeah. Please win one. Please, Dan. Please, Brad. Please, Sheila. Thank you for that. We got to get a break here on X's and Bros. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Detroit Pistons and how they squandered a 20-point lead and extended the longest losing streak in one season in professional sports history. That's hard to do. We'll cover it next.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com. Risdon is a farm direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at roastumber.com. Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
You're listening to Michigan's statewide morning show, X's and Bros, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Good morning, Michigan. Happy Friday. Jeff Risdon coming at you, sitting in for Anthony Bellino today. And we got to talk about, I can't do it with a straight face, I can't. The Detroit Pistons really thought they were going to do it last night. Now, going into the game last night, of course, we all know. Record for most consecutive losses in one season and across multiple seasons was on the line. And they were in Boston, the number one team in the East. No chance, right? Not going to happen. Can't be done. They came out and they played a phenomenal second quarter where they rebounded, I think, every shot. They hit some shots. They moved the ball very nicely. They were screening for one another. There was good movement off the ball. All these things that you haven't really seen from the Pistons at all in extended stretches, and they got it going. They had a 19-point halftime lead. And I'm sitting there. I'm at a high school basketball game. My son was playing in one. His game was over. We were watching the next game in the showcase, and group around us was like, wow, they're going to do this. They can do this, right? Of course not. They did not. They did not. They fell in the end. Even after Bogey got a great putback to tie it up and went to overtime in Boston. Celtics prevailed in overtime. And it was more of the same methodology for how the Pistons lost on that one. And you know, if you're betting on the Pistons, God bless you, you won last night. In the NBA, the games can change in an instant. That's really happened last night. But no matter how the action unfolds, you know, DraftKings Sportsbook has your back. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting $5 on basketball. Win or lose, you get an instant dub. Best of all, it's safe, secure, and reliable with 24/7 support. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE. That's HUGE. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting $5 on basketball. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code HUGE. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline at 800-270-7117. Must be 21 or older, physically present in Michigan. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. You would have won last night if you bet on the Pistons. They only lost by 6 in overtime. And again, it was turnovers. It was the inability to knock down timely shots. Thought Cade played a very nice game. I was bouncing back and forth between the Pistons game and the Browns and Jets game, and I'm going to tie that in a little bit later. So it wasn't like at full attention, but I was paying enough attention to see that Boston just was the better team. They have more reliable, more talent, more experienced talent, and it prevailed in the end. The Pistons are a team that is struggling to learn how to win. Well, you could probably argue that they haven't learned how to win. They're 2-29, 28 in a row. So one of the things that I was looking at is when can they end this streak? Because it is, as a couple of people noted, the longest single-season losing streak for any professional sports team in any of the major four sports in North American history. I don't know about the NASL or WPL or any of those things, but IHL. Rest in peace. Orlando Solar Bears, Richmond Renegades, where I lived for a brief time, next to one of their goalies. So it's going to be tough. They have a shot. They're going to be on the road for the next 4 games. Pistons are at Toronto. Raptors are 12-18. That game is Saturday night. That will be going on. Actually, that game should be just about ending as the Lions are kicking off down in Dallas. The game's 6 o'clock tip-off in Toronto. That's a tough one. Like, Toronto. So Toronto fans, by the way, on Twitter last night, Boston fans were just aghast that their team even went to overtime with Detroit. I don't really blame them. It's a team that expects to win the East this year. I'm not sure they will, but they expect it anyways. Their fans certainly expect it. They were sort of freaking out. And now Toronto fans are like, because you do not want to be the team that loses to snap the streak. You never want to be that team in any sport. But if you're the Raptors, you can't lose that game at home because that's a team that they have some playoff expectations. I'm not sure they're very realistic. Let's see. I think they're 10th in the East right now. Oh, wow. They're actually 12th in the East at 12-18, tied with Atlanta. So 11th, as you be it. They are pretty good at home. They're 8-9 at home. That's going to be a tough one for the Pistons, but that honestly looks like the most winnable one the next few games. Monday, first day of January, they're in Houston. Rockets played some pretty good basketball this year. Unexpectedly good basketball. They made a couple changes. They've got their young guys flowing very nicely. They're in the West and playing good. That's going to be a tough one. Wednesday the 3rd, going to Utah. Utah's never an easy place to win. The Jazz are sort of schizo. Like, I've watched a handful of their games this year, and sometimes they're really good, and sometimes they're vulnerable. You hope that maybe the Pistons get it together on a day where the Jazz are vulnerable, but it's no easy task. And then it doesn't get any easier because next Friday, January 5th, they're in Golden State. Chalk up an L on that one. Sunday, January 7th, they're in Denver. Going to chalk up an L on that one. As I sit here in the home studios of the Denver Nuggets G League affiliate, the Grand Rapids Gold. Go Gold. They're not having the season that they wanted, but they're starting to show some progress as well. But it's not going to be easy. But then the road string continues. January 9th, Sacramento. Don't know about that one either. Oh, I'm sorry. That one's a home game. They're back home. Sacramento's playing some pretty good basketball. Their guards are going to be a real problem. Detroit's perimeter, it feels like they should be better than what they are at perimeter defense, and they're just not, whether it's teams shooting threes or guards getting into the paint a little bit too easy and distributing, and the rotations, it's a mess. Then comes the one, though, where a lot of people have circled as the chance where it could end. That's the San Antonio Spurs, who just came or were on a massive bender of their own. I believe they had lost 17 or 18 in a row. I'll be honest with you, I haven't kept up with the San Antonio Spurs. I just don't care that much. But that game, Wednesday the 10th, could be well over the chance to finally get that done. But again, you're looking into the 33, 34 and a loss, 34 losses in a row. Very real possibility that happens, folks. That's rough. You're going into the season, I thought the Pistons would be better. I thought they could challenge to win 32, 33, maybe 34 games. Cade Cunningham coming back, like Jalen Duren coming back, like some of the additions that they made. I thought Monty Williams could make a difference. I Thought maybe they could get some 3-point shooting going. Maybe the toughness that they have coming off the bench. I was hoping for a little bit of a jump from Ivy. Just none of it's happened, and it's frustrating. As Lions fans, we've been through this with Detroit. Back in 2008 when we had the winless season. The Tigers, obviously, was that 2003 when they were just wretched. That was the year I moved to West Michigan. I had lived in the Virginia market for a while and came up here, and that honestly was the death knell of baseball for me. I'm like, I'm not watching this crap. Come on. And I've never really picked it back up. Full disclosure, I don't follow baseball whatsoever. I'm not sure I could name you 3 active Detroit Tigers. I'm not sure I could name you 10 active major leaguers at this point. That sport just lost me. But I do remember the dark times of the Tigers of that era. And the Pistons are right there, man. And you did not expect it with this team. The playoffs were probably a stretch. Thought maybe they could sneak into that 11 seed and get into the postseason, the playoff, whatever they call it, the entry round. But it's been rough, man. And the thing is, there's not an easy solution for what's going on. Yes, you have to play better, but as a football guy, tell me how to play better. Tell me what I can do better. And it feels like with the Pistons, they just have to play overall better. And it's tough to quantify because you can't make these guys make more shots. You can't really make them get along better. The team chemistry just isn't that great on the court. And I think some of that is the fact that guys have been in and out of the lineup. They haven't found active rotations yet. But I don't know, man. Play better. That's terrible coaching, by the way. If you're a coach and you're just yelling "play better" at your team, you're probably not a very good coach. One of the things that I really like about Dan Campbell and the Lions is that they will specify what you need to do better. Why don't you try putting your hands here instead of here? If you're trying to get off a block, let's read that. If the ball's in the air and you're in coverage, maybe read the receiver's cues to see if the ball's coming your way. That might be sent to one specific Lions corner who might be playing a lot this week because Cam Sutton is dinged up. Hopefully he can play. He's questionable. He practiced the first 2 days this week. Sat out yesterday, or part of yesterday, with an injury. Hopefully he can get on the field because they're going to need him because Cowboys are loaded with CD Lamb. But, Pistons fans, the best thing I can say is, it's got to end sometime. They can't go 2-80, right? Right? They can't go 2-80. I mean, it just seems they're going to get like Boston. They caught Boston probably playing their worst game of the year, and they almost got it. They're going to get a couple other teams where the opponent just isn't there for their A game. They're going to start being the team where the stars rest. The load management. The Detroit Pistons coming to your town will be your cue for load management in the NBA in the coming weeks and months. So maybe they'll get lucky and they'll play. They'll play with the Sixers without Embiid and without 3/4 of their starting lineup or 4/5 of their starting lineup. There's 5 guys on the court. Oh, tough time to be a Pistons fan, man. And I know, I remember when Troy Weaver got hired, and I was actually in the studio the day he was hired in a previous show iteration, and it was glorious. It's yes, we got the guy, man. We got the mastermind. We're gonna do. We got the guy who's got the eye for talent. He's going to understand how to put the team together. And, man, it has not worked. Don't want to put it all on Troy, but the eye for team chemistry, I think, is something that this team has lacked, lost, whatever. And, that's got to improve. I'd like to say that, that the gut punches will stop, as Jared Goff once said, and they will. They will. It's technically impossible to stay this bad this long, but you're looking at it's funny as an NFL draft guy, I sort of miss all the action about who the Detroit Lions are going to take at this time of year. I don't really miss it, but I kind of do. It's fun that we don't have to worry about it this year. I like that a lot. I like that we're in the playoffs, so we're going to be picking in the late 20s, early 30s. That's very good. But as a Pistons fan, you're already watching college basketball, and you're like, dang, man, who are we going to get? Like, who can help? Who's the best? And I will freely admit I do not watch college basketball until about February, so I couldn't tell you anything that's going on with college basketball. Just the way it is, but keep your NBA draft eyes out, because for those of you who missed the NFL draft, NBA draft is certainly relevant for the Pistons right now. I don't think they're mathematically eliminated just yet at 2-29, but they're probably pretty close. It doesn't look good. Not looking good for them to make the playoffs. Should reset, by the way, for those of you who are listening and wondering, who is this guy? This is Jeff Risdon. I'm sitting in for Anthony Bellino today on X's and Bros. Anthony is out covering the Wolverines, as he does so very well. A lot of folks from the Michigan media are out there in Los Angeles, and we're going to talk about the Alabama matchup. Can Michigan win? What happens if they do? What happens if they don't? It's going to be a thrilling game. Again, this is another one. I talked about the Lions game this weekend, and I would not bet on the Lions or Cowboys this weekend. There's no way in the world I would put any money on Michigan or Alabama. If you got a strong inkling one way or other, God bless you. I don't have that. I think it's kind of a 50-50 game, and I think it's going to be decided early on based on how Michigan comes out, because I think they're the team that dictates this game. I think this is Michigan's game to win or lose on their own. I think that they can beat Alabama. I also think that they can make themselves lose to Alabama. I think Alabama is a complicit role player in this one more than they are the dictator of the game. And if you've followed along with me at all on the Lions Wire or Detroit Lions podcast, you'll know that I also like it when the Lions are dictating the terms of the game. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that against Dallas this weekend, because the Cowboys at home are a different animal. Their defense is such that it's going to challenge what Ben Johnson really wants to do offensively and creatively. Micah Parsons is an issue. They've got some speed on that defense, and I'm very curious as to how Ben Johnson will attack that. Hopefully, it's with a lot of runs, but that's another one of those games. The DraftKings line is 5.5. Not putting any money on that one because I could see the Lions winning by a touchdown. I could also see them losing by a touchdown or 10 because the Cowboys again have a lot to play for. It's gonna be a fun weekend in the greater Michigan area. Notre Dame is also playing. I don't want to neglect the Notre Dame fans that are listening. I know there's a lot of them here in West Michigan. I know Notre Dame fans are everywhere. Y'all are. We talk about Dallas Cowboys as America's team in the NFL. I say this begrudgingly as somebody who grew up in an Ohio State household and now lives in Michigan with a Michigan household. Notre Dame might be America's team just in terms of the diaspora of Fighting Irish fans being everywhere. I've lived in any number of places, and there are always Notre Dame fans everywhere. You see Notre Dame Fighting Irish flags everywhere. I lived in Houston for 3 years. There were people that lived on our block who were Notre Dame people. Lived in Richmond, Virginia for a handful of years. A lot of Notre Dame people down there. It was weird. We actually had Notre Dame versus Boston College was like one of the big rivalries in that area, believe it or not. I was down there in the era when Michael Vick was at Virginia Tech, and it was the big rivals were like UVA, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Pittsburgh is a big one down there, believe it or not. North Carolina, Virginia was another one, and Notre Dame, Boston College, for whatever reason, was that was a big deal down there, and I will not cop to rooting for the Irish. I will say. I go to games quite a bit for college, and I have to give Notre Dame and their event staff and their SID and their athletic department a lot of credit. I've been credentialed media for 7 Big Ten teams. I've been to Notre Dame. I've been to a number of teams down in the South and the Mid-Atlantic. Notre Dame treats media as good as any place, if not better, in terms of press box, access to players, post-game access, and things like that. So, I can't ever root against the Irish because of that, even though I grew up programmed to really not like them. You know what? We've closed the first hour today. When we come back, we're going to talk more Alabama, Michigan. More Lions on X's and Bros. Coming back.
Huge here for Urban U. They are Michigan's favorite med spa locations throughout West Michigan and also on the east side of the state in Northville. And this is for any guy listening right now or lady. If you want the perfect holiday gift for somebody you care about, you need to think about the holiday specials happening at theurbanu.com. That's theurbanu.com. And for the holidays, Urban U is offering holiday tiers. Until December 30th through the end of the year, purchasing a holiday tier is the perfect way to treat yourself or that person in your life that you care about or your family. And you get your holiday gift shopping done quick at theurbanu.com. And what are holiday tiers? Holiday tiers are the best way to get rewarded big time for investing in your health, wellness, and beauty services. Simple and easy. If you want to take care of everything for the holidays, go to theurbanu.com.
Ring in the new year and get game day deals with One Stop at Meijer. Shop extra large avocados for 99 cents each. Select Coca-Cola, Pepsi, 7-Up, or Dr. Pepper products. Buy 2, get 1 free. Plus deposit where applicable. And select Lay's party-sized chips or poppables, 2 for $6. Plus, pay the same low Meijer prices no matter how you shop, in-store or online. Cheer on your favorite team and celebrate the new year when you shop quality and One Stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's the Snowfall Lucky Draw. Every Saturday in December, select a lucky ornament from the holiday tree for the chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. It's the Snowfall Lucky Draw. Every Saturday in December, only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Huge here. AB's doing a heck of a job, and I'm ready to drop some huge opinions about what he's talking about later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
morning, everyone.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
It's a good morning. Wake up to a brand new day.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
It is indeed a good morning. Welcome to the X's and Bros show, second hour. Jeff Risdon sitting in for Anthony Bellino, who is out covering the Wolverines. They kind of have a big thing going on. They needed him out there. He asked me to sit in, and I'm happy to help. For those of you who don't know who I am, I frequently sit in this very chair with Bill Simonson, the huge one, on many of these same stations across the time. And glad to be with you this morning. We need to get some metal into that. I'm a headbanger. We need a Megadeth wake up song or something. Wake Up Dead. There you go. Song about infidelity. Probably not the best thing to go on the morning as we enter the end of the year. But that's one of the songs. That's one of the songs. So I like to golf. I unfortunately don't get out to golf enough, but I'm one of those people that I like to sing a song in my head to keep a cadence to myself to help my swing go. Wake Up Dead, the little dun, 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 like that. If I have that, I'm putting good. And golf season is here and now, and Matt Golden and his team are ready to welcome you to one of the best golfing experiences in Michigan at Tullymore Golf Resort in Canadian Lakes. Offers 2 championship courses, Tullymore and St. Ives. It is located about an hour from Grand Rapids, 30 minutes west of Mount Pleasant. It's up north golf without the drive, and with lodging to be able to cater to you and your partner, your foursome, or up to 400 of your closest friends, family, or coworkers. Tullymore not only features a top-of-the-line golf experience, but also top-of-the-line accommodations and the perfect spaces for your wedding, event, reception, or group outing. TullymoreGolf.com or call 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837 and book your stay and play at Tullymore today. It's a great place, and for those of you who are looking to propose on New Year's Eve, might want to get those wedding things in because it's tough to find wedding places right now. That would be a great place to do it. It's beautiful up there any time of year. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I also, as a basketball player, I don't play anymore. My knees don't work anymore. But I was one of those people that I used to sing to myself as the free throw line, and I would always get the same song in my head. And I've taught that to my daughter. And my daughter is a freshman playing varsity for Zeeland East. I'm proud of that. I'm not going to hide that. And her free throw sequence song is I Prevail's Bow Down, and I'm very happy that she chose that because we love I Prevail. Huge Detroit area sports fans. I've gotten the pleasure to get to know Brian Burkheiser, the clean singer, Eric also the growl singer. Great guys, great sports fans. They put on a wonderful show, and they need to be the halftime show next year for the Detroit Lions at Thanksgiving because whatever they did this year never needs to be repeated or spoken about again. That was hideous. Don't know who's doing the halftime show at the Rose Bowl, but it will be an interesting time because Sunday night's game, Alabama-Michigan, again, I've talked about it in the first time. I don't have a feel for how this game's going to go. I think Michigan can win. I think Michigan will be the catalyst for if the Wolverines win or lose, too. And one of the things that in looking at the matchups, Alabama's got some really good corners. So I got to preface this. I am also the managing editor of Draft Wire. I'm an NFL draft guy. I started covering the NFL draft professionally in 2004. I actually did a couple of seasons, the 2009 and 2010 seasons, working with an NFL team, which I'm still, unfortunately, not able to disclose, but that information's out there if you want it. But my college football, as an Ohio Bobcat, and I was at Ohio in the 90s when we were terrible. The Tom Lichtenberg era was very regrettable. We actually had the nation's longest losing streak there twice in my 6 years in Athens. I come at college football looking at it almost exclusively from the NFL draft standpoint and not a fan standpoint. I don't really care. I don't care who wins. I just want to see players evaluate. And when I look at Alabama, I look at their secondary, and I look at their front pass rush. And they got 4 guys who could be NFL first-round picks. Certainly, Terry and Arnold, the corner, and the lesser-known of the 2 corners, he and Kool-Aid McKinstry. For my money, Arnold's quite a bit better in coverage. McKinstry is more of a playmaker, a gambler. He's going to make some plays. He's also will give up some plays. I think Arnold is very good. Their guys up front, Braswell and Dallas Turner, they're good. And I actually think that Dallas Turner would be a very nice fit for the Lions with their first pick if he happens to last into the 20s or 30s, and he may because he's light. He's not Will Anderson. He's not as physical as a lot of the guys that they've had there. He's much more of a he actually fits the mold of the Penn State pass rushers, the sort of speedy snap jumper types. He's good, though. He can finish. And Braswell, honestly, is probably the more effective collegiate pass rusher. Not sure that he has the athletic upside in the NFL that Turner does, but I look at that, and that's their defense from an NFL standpoint right now. Like they've got some younger guys that are certainly going to do it at linebacker. Their player who has replaced Brian Branch in their defense, and I can't think of his name right at the moment, but who plays the sort of slot corner, box safety, strong safety, free safety role. They call it the star or the elephant, depending on how they align. He's really good, and he will make some plays. But there are yards to be had. There are plays to be made against this team. And the Michigan team that played against Ohio State, where they weren't necessarily the most efficient, but they did keep driving the ball down the field. And I thought J.J. McCarthy did a very good job of keeping the chains moving in clutch situations. Now, Michigan fans will probably tell you they were in more squirrely, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 7, 2nd and 11s than they want to be. But they made those work. And I think they can make that work against Alabama too. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a battle. And then on the other side of the ball, I look from a standpoint, again, NFL looking at the Alabama offense. No, the Michigan defense, they're pretty good. They have such depth, and that's going to serve them well. But I look at Alabama's wide receivers. Probably their weakest wide receiving core they've had in a long time. Jalen Milroe really stepped up late in the season. I think he's playing very good football, and he's a guy that can do a lot of what J.J. McCarthy does well, and that he can move with his feet, reset, keep his eyes down the field and over the middle of the field, and hit those crossers, hit those guys coming back to him. He got pretty good at that. Now, it came out yesterday that his offensive coordinator, one Bill O'Brien, who you might remember from his days as the head coach and terrible general manager of the Houston Texans, a team that I covered, by the way, for USA Today's Texans Wire. Oh, good memories of that. He actually told Milroe, and Milroe admitted it, that he thought that Milroe should be playing tight end and not quarterback. That might be why Bill is still in college and not back in the NFL after he made some interesting personnel decisions in Houston. God, I feel for Texans fans. I really do. That worries me. Their ability to strike down the field quickly worries me. Their running game, they're okay. Their offensive line, as usual, is good but overhyped. I think J.C. Latham getting top 10 draft love, I don't see that at all. He's a guy that I think goes in the 20s or 30s if I had my druthers, but I'm at the NFL personnel makers. But I think there are plays to be made for this Michigan team. They're going to have to make them, though, because Alabama, I think, is going to make some plays of their own. I want to see explosive runs from Donovan Edwards, from Blake Corum, following that deep offensive line. I think they can lean on Alabama's front a little bit, create some movement, get some big plays down the field. And explosive runs are how you beat them. That's what LSU did. That's what Arkansas has done to them. That's what Texas A&M has been able to do to them. That Alabama team, this is not the juggernaut that they have been in the past. Michigan's favored in this game for a reason. They're the number 1 seed for a reason. Doesn't mean that they're going to win it, but they got a really good shot at it. And like I said, leading this off, I don't know if they're going to win it or lose it, but it should be a very fun game. When we come back, we're going to talk on X's and Bros. We are going to talk some Lions. Put the Lions hat on. For those of you watching on YouTube, thank you. I'm wearing the Lions sweatshirt today. Ready to talk some Lions, Cowboys. Back with you after the break.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he is a managing shareholder at Br0's, soon to be Doran Mayhew at the end of the year. And with the merger, there is growth and a chance for you to fill an executive or other high-level finance-related roles, either at Br0 here in downtown Grand Rapids or over at the Doran Mayhew World Headquarters in Troy, or at any of their offices across the country and around the world. They have a national specialized talent pool with ideal candidates for long-term placement, ongoing support for post-placement success. So if you're looking for that next chapter in your professional career, talk to Josh Garvey and the team at Br0. Easiest way, you can call Br0, ask for Josh Garvey, or go to their website, BENEGARTR.com, or look for Br0, soon to be Doran Mayhew, on Facebook and on Twitter.
Ring in the new year and get game day deals with One Stop at Meijer. Shop extra large avocados for 99 cents each. Select Coca-Cola, Pepsi, 7-Up, or Dr. Pepper products. Buy 2, get 1 free. Plus deposit where applicable. And select Lay's party-sized chips or poppables, 2 for $6. Plus, pay the same low Meijer prices no matter how you shop, in-store or online. Cheer on your favorite team and celebrate the new year when you shop quality and One Stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Roast Umber is a farm-direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at roastumber.com.
Can't call in? Text us using the keyword sports radio and send it to 21000 or tweet us at XB Mornings. Now, back to X's and Bros with Anthony Bellino here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Good morning, Michigan. Welcome back to the X's and Bros show. Jeff Risdon sitting in today, and I'll also be with you on Tuesday. Closing out 2023 today with you. We will also kick off 2024. Hard to believe New Year's is coming this weekend. One of the reasons why I'm here is because Anthony Bellino is out covering for the New Year's Eve game or New Year's Day game. I can't keep track. This whole week has been crazy with Christmas coming, New Year's coming, the Lions playing on a Saturday. I don't like, because that throws every day back a week for me. This managing here to the Lions Wire. We have certain things that we do on certain days, and every day is accelerated back. So it's Friday, I think. I hope I'm supposed to be here on Friday. Yeah. So one of the things that happened yesterday, as the Lions did their normal Friday on Thursday, so they made a couple of moves, and we're going to talk about the moves that they made. One of them was activating Jason Kabinda, the fullback, from injured reserve. He's not played in quite some time. I believe week 3 he got injured. He's back. He had been designated to return from injured reserve, and he is back. He and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, we'll talk more about him in a second, were both returned to practice with the intent of being activated from injured reserve. Kabinda is a great guy. I have spent a little bit of time in his orbit. It's a fun orbit to be in. He's a gregarious, smart, self-aware guy. Pretty good special teams player, and they do need that because the special teams have not been ideal. You saw a blocked extra point last weekend. Can't have that. That was not on the kicker either. It was actually on one of the guys that is no longer with the Lions, which we'll get to in a second. But there's a lot of consternation about Jason Kabinda being activated. And some of that is the fact that he's a fullback, and this offense doesn't use a fullback a whole lot. I believe the splits on it, even when he was healthy, were about 12% of the time to 15% of the time, and it's been less than that this year. Malcolm Rodriguez filled in capably for Kabinda at the fullback role, another linebacker. You remember Kabinda came to the Lions as a linebacker. Wasn't particularly good at that. They moved him to fullback so he could stick on the team. He's made himself into the best Jason Kabinda he can be. But the Lions offense seems to work better when they don't have a fullback in the game all the time. It's a part-time role of part-time roles. It's commensurate with the amount that James Mitchell plays as the number 3 tight end, and now Mitchell will be the number 2 tight end this week because Brock Wright is out. And that could be one of the reasons why they're activating Jason Kabinda for this game. Another reason for this specific game against Dallas is that the way to beat the Dallas Cowboys is you ram the ball down their throats. You run on them. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, healthy doses. You saw what Buffalo did to Dallas a couple weeks ago with the run. They couldn't stop it. They've been vulnerable to teams that are dedicated to the run. And that's what the Lions do very well. The offensive line of the Lions matches up very nicely as run blockers against what their Dallas run defense does up front. Their defensive front is designed to get to the quarterback, not necessarily to get to Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery. And if Jason Kabinda can be useful in 12 to 20-ish snaps in that role, it's worth activating him for that because there's a lot at stake with this game. Lions can get the number 2 or even number 1 seed with a win. And it would also keep them from ever having to go to Dallas in the playoffs. And that's a good thing because Dallas is very good at home. So they cut a couple players to make room. One of them, Trevor Nowaski, great guy, rookie undrafted linebacker from Saginaw Valley State, Canton-Salem High School. Wonderful dude. I've gotten the chance to get to know Trevor a little bit. I don't expect him to be claimed on waivers by another team, but if he does, it'll be Pittsburgh because they tried to poach him earlier this year, and that's why the Lions signed him to the active roster. He's been pretty good on special teams. The extra point that was blocked this past weekend was in a gap between him and Benito Jones, and it's just a mistake that can't happen. I don't know where Dave Phipp, the special teams coordinator, has assigned blame, but it might be Nowatzki based on the fact that he's no longer with the team. Could be back as early as next week, depending on the waiver claims. I get that one. The next one that they cut was Chase Lucas, cornerback. And, well, calling him a cornerback is a bit of a stretch, and it's one of the reasons why he's no longer in Detroit, or at least temporarily in Detroit. It's a guy who was a 7th-round pick out of Arizona State, came in as a 24-year-old, I believe he's 26 now, and he's played 6 total snaps on defense in 2 seasons. And we all know the Detroit Lions, the strength of the team is absolutely not cornerback. And the fact that Chase Lucas never got a look at cornerback when we're bringing in Khalil Dorsey and Kindle Vildor and trying all sorts of solutions over the last couple of years at inside and outside cornerback, and Chase Lucas was never one of them, I think that sort of tells you that he just didn't have a big future with Detroit. You know, at the end of his second year, he's got 1 year left on his rookie contract. 2 years, he was good on special teams, was better as a rookie, has played better of late on special teams, but early on this season, he wasn't doing all that great on special teams either, especially on return units, where there were a couple of instances where he missed his block. So, I know a lot of fans are like, oh, we got rid of a Brad Holmes draft pick. Like, yeah, that's going to happen. It wasn't working out for him. But I do feel your frustration, and those of you responding on Twitter at X's and Bros, and also Facebook and whatever, we appreciate that. The general feedback is, why Kabinda? Why are we activating him and not C.J. Gardner-Johnson? The longer answer on C.J. Gardner-Johnson is that he's not quite ready yet. And also, they don't need to upset the apple cart there. Ife Melifonwu, a guy that I have publicly criticized and wondered why he was still on the team, has shut my smart butt up with some fantastic play the last couple of weeks. And I'm very happy about that. He's been great. He sealed the last game. His sacks, his knack for blitzing, my goodness. Lions fans have been lamenting the lack of pass rush all year. Well, over the last 2 weeks, they're actually like 4th in the league in generating pressures, and they're getting sacks. Melifonwu getting them. It might not be Aiden Hutchinson getting all the pressures and sacks, but he's certainly playing very well. And his ability to create lanes that Melifonwu and Alex Anzalone and John Kaminsky, Josh Pascal have had some good reps lately. That's been a very critical component to beating Denver and Minnesota. And Melifonwu's ascendance means that there's not necessarily the urgency to get CJGJ or CD Deuce. So he apparently legally changed his name. Now, I actually had to write a disclaimer on this for some Lions Wire pieces. We're not technically allowed to call him by his alleged new name, and we haven't received notification that he has, in fact, legally changed his name. I think he posted an Instagram story that had like a picture of it, but we couldn't really read it. The team has not officially changed his name, so I still have to refer to him as C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Sorry, Deuce. I get that, but he'll be back next week. He has to be back next week, otherwise they lose him. But he's, with him playing well, with Kirby Joseph rising up in coverage the last week, that they haven't necessarily needed him, and he's not an outside corner. I know people want to make him an outside corner. He's not. Melifonwu is not. Branch isn't. He's got a little bit more time to rest from that torn pec that has kept him out since week 2, but he will be back next week. The other move that they made in opening up the extra space, that's going to be for the kicker, Michael Badgley, who is up to his last practice squad elevation. If you watched the Browns-Jets game last night, you saw why they got rid of Riley Patterson, because Riley Patterson mixed another extra point last night. It didn't matter. The Browns won. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Browns and the Lions. As a native of Northeast Ohio who grew up in a family of Browns fans, as a Lions fan, this has been a really interesting season for me, and we're going to talk about that when we get back from the break next on X's and Bros.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com. at MHSAA on Twitter and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archived boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Welcome to the Drew World Order. Drew Hill, Friday, January 26th at Soaring Eagle Casino. There's a party on this hill. Same show, the soulful bad boy of R&B, Genuine. Ride the pony for a two-stepping good time. Tickets start at $45 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Genuine, Drew Hill, Friday, January 26th at Soaring Eagle Casino.
If you or your family is touched by autism, learn more about Freddy's Foundation at #PopTheTab at freddythepizzaman.com. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com, or email freddythepizzaman@gmail.com.
You're listening to Michigan's statewide morning show, X's and Bros, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Oh, sorry. Was headbanging along there for a minute. Jeff Risdon sitting in for Anthony Bellino this morning. X's and Bros, welcome. Final show of 2023. And got a lot of Lions going on. We actually have a special guest who has called in. We're going to talk to him about the Lions. Freddie the Pizza Man, one of the most genuinely good people in the Lions fandom, and there's a whole lot of y'all who are great people, but Freddie stands out. Freddie has called in, and he's going to offer a little bit of wisdom here. So, Freddie the Pizza Man, I have never personally talked to you, so I wanted to welcome you to X's and Bros, and thank you for gracing us with your presence. What do we want to talk about today?
Good morning, Jeff. How are you? No, don't say that too loud. There's some people there in Grand Rapids that don't like me, but I love them. I love them all. So,
we love you too, man.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So, anyways, welcome in. We didn't speak, but I want to say in August you had Dan Miller on your show, and I texted Dan while he was drinking beer on your show. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that. Yes. Yeah, that was great. Dan drinking beer at 10 in the morning on a podcast was fantastic production.
Yeah, Dan loves his beer. I told him, you got to be doing that on Fox too, but I don't think he can get away with that. So
probably not.
Anyways, welcome into X's and Bros. I'm going to be on my good behavior. I love Anthony. I wish him well, even though. Michigan fans Michigan thinks I hate him, but it's the fans, really. Most of the fans are the ones I really hate. And I told Anthony at the beginning of the year, I think Michigan has a chance to win it all. And I still believe that. But I will be rooting for Alabama, and I'll be rooting for Alabama to win by 40. But I still think Michigan can win it all. So I don't want to hear any excuses if you lose by 40 that the clock didn't run out. I don't want to hear any of that stuff. You go there and you win fair and square. You come home and you take the loss if you lose, which most likely will happen. So the Lions, I sent you a text earlier. I'm not sure if you got it, Jeff.
I have not seen it. I'm internet bereft here. So
Ifatu Malafano, if I said it correctly,
close enough.
There was a guy, obviously you covered the draft. Isaiah Simmons was drafted a few years ago, Arizona Cardinals. I know a lot of Lions fans wanted him, but there was he was a tweener. They weren't sure what he would play linebacker. If he is a guy, he's a pretty big guy. Can he be a guy the Lions are developing, not just him, but maybe a position where he's an outside linebacker, safety, bigger guy, fast, and they're trying to get three safeties on the field all the time.
Yeah, and you're seeing some of that. Tracy Walker has kind of been that guy, and he's sort of fallen out of favor. And since they made the change and put Iffy in more, Iffy's big thing. When he was in college at Syracuse, he was an outside corner, and he just does not have the footwork or lateral agility to play outside at cornerback. So they moved him to safety. He's been hurt for so much. That's actually one of the reasons why he's really emerged, is that he's learned how to play through pain. And I like the idea of using him as the attack dog, whether he's lined up as a box safety, a linebacker, a traditional strong safety. He's doing a great job in that. And, C.J. Gardner-Johnson can also play that role. You see Brian Branch can also play that role. That's sort of what he did in Alabama. So they've got guys who can mentor him into that spot. So I'm not opposed to it, and especially against a team, not Dallas really isn't that sort of team, but teams that like to throw to running backs out of the backfield and have mobile quarterbacks that can beat you that way. That's a great asset to get on the field, because then you're taking a slower linebacker off the field and you're getting more speed and more coverage ability, in that short range on the field. So I like that idea very much.
I know C.J. Deuce is only here for on a 1-year contract, and I'm just not sure after the blue mask thing if the Lions are going to really like that long term. But, I mean, if he can play, he can play. Sometimes you need that bad guy in the locker room. But could you imagine, like, Branch and C.J. Deuce and Iffy on the field at all times on the defense with the way the NFL is going, with more wide receivers, more space? I think the defenses can start leaning that way a little bit versus the traditional 4-3 middle linebacker. That's why I'm kind of curious with Jack Campbell where he ends up. Is he going to stay middle linebacker, or will he be an outside defensive end? But, lastly, Jeff, I'm telling you right now, my prediction on the Lions, I kind of been steady on this all week. I think the Lions win by more than 20 points, and I'm going to tell you how they do it.
All right.
I think they rush the ball 35, 40 times. They keep Dak and CD off the field. They keep our defense off the field. And they shorten that clock, and I think they win 31-9. Well, I said 20 points. I got 31-19, and I think they come home riding high, and they get that number 2 seed, possible number 1 seed. I think that's how they win the game in Dallas, and I think that's how they're going to win the playoffs. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be your star, running the ball all over the place. So, Jeff, Happy New Year. Ryan, Happy New Year. I know you got no mic. Get a mic. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks, guys. Thank
you, Freddie. Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you for calling in. That's the first time we've ever actually talked to Freddie. Great guy. I don't always agree with his takes, but his heart is in the great place, man. And producer Ben and I are sitting here, and we were just talking like, we haven't been to his restaurant yet, and we got to get there. I was actually going to go. I was down there with a group of Lions fans for the Metallica show at Comerica 5 years ago-ish. We were going to go, and it was so busy that we couldn't get in. So, yeah, thanks for that. And I like the prediction on the Lions. I hope that comes true. That'd be great. As to what Freddie said about the idea of getting more safeties on the field, I think Aaron Glenn likes that very much. Remember, this is an NFL defensive back we're talking about, a guy who played in Dallas, by the way. A little bit of a homecoming for him and for Dan Campbell this weekend. I like the idea. Again, it might not work against Dallas so much, although Tony Pollard can catch the ball out of the backfield, but against a team like the Eagles that will throw to DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. Against a team like the Falcons like to use Bijan Robinson if the Falcons happen to be the first-round opponent, and they could be. It's unlikely, but they could be. They will also throw to Tyler Algier out of the backfield. I like the idea of having safeties out there more than I like having linebackers, and especially with the mobile quarterbacks that they're going to be facing or could be facing in the postseason. I want that. I like that idea of having one of those safeties play as a de facto linebacker. And I wonder if they will do that in the finale against Minnesota. So Minnesota has made a quarterback change because we scared them out of Nick Mullins, who threw his 4 interceptions, and they are now going with rookie Jaron Hall out of BYU. For everybody who belly aches about Hendon Hooker and the Lions being old, Hall is right at that age too. Was a guy that also the Lions did sort of like in the draft process. They also liked Aiden O'Connell, AOC out of Purdue, who's now starting for the Raiders. But they're happy with Hooker, and I'm certainly very happy with Hendon Hooker. But he can run a little bit, and he's not a guy who's going to look to run, but he's a guy who can extend the play outside the tackles and look downfield and throw, and they have some. I mean, we saw my goodness, that Justin Jefferson catch, 3rd and 27. sometimes the other guys just make a play and you got to tip your hat to them. That was one of those situations. I like the idea of having that extra speed on there. Nothing against Derek Barnes or Alex Anzalone or Jack Campbell. And I agree with Freddie. I'm not sure we know what we have in Jack Campbell yet long term, where he's going to fit. I liked him at the mic, but they don't seem all that intent on keeping him there full time. And some of that said Alex Anzalone's really good there as well. Alex Anzalone's still having a Pro Bowl year. Didn't have his best game against Minnesota. That happens. Good players have bad games. He had one. I expect him to bounce back well against Dallas, but there's a lot of wisdom in what Freddie said there. As for the Michigan prediction, I don't see them losing by 40, buddy. Sorry. I think they can win that game. I think it's going to be close. I do think that we're going to see, again, Michigan's going to dictate the terms of that game. If Michigan can come out and rip off a 13-play, 70-yard drive, and then on the next drive, Blake Corum goes for 22 yards on first down, and Donovan Edwards rips off a 15-yard run and then a 10-yard run. I think Michigan's going to be playing downhill, and I think that that's going to serve them very well. I don't think Alabama's going to play catch-up very well. I don't think that they're built to do that all that well. We saw them do it against Auburn, but that was an epic choke job by Auburn's coverage and pass rush. I think Jim Harbaugh's a smarter coach than that. I think Michigan has a lot better defensive personnel than that. Lions prediction, I'm not there yet. Honestly, it's weird because I technically have to come up with a prediction for work purposes. I don't know yet. I'm willing to be talked into different things, and in the next hour, we're going to have a couple of Lions analysts on. We're going to be joined by Russell Brown from Lions Wire and my good old friend Eric Schlitt from Pride of Detroit. They're going to talk to us in the next hour about the Lions and Cowboys and what we can see. I want to get back a bit into what we saw with the transactions, and I hinted at the end of the last thing. They cut two guys yesterday and only elevated one. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson and James Houston, who got dedicated. He joined practice yesterday for the first time since week 2. He has been ruled out. C.J. whatever has been ruled out. Deuce is not going to play this week. He's ruled out with his injury. They are both set to be activated. In fact, Gardner-Johnson has to be activated next week to get into it. Houston has a little bit more time than that. But they created that extra spot for Michael Badgley, and you will see probably in the next 24 hours that Michael Badgley has been signed to the active roster. Every player from the practice squad has allowed 3 elevations. This was going to be his third. If they do choose to make it as practice squad elevation, then they do, in fact, have to sign him right away. Otherwise, he can't go back on the practice squad. So or he can't be activated again, and they need him as a kicker. They haven't had any other kickers in town. And again, Riley Patterson as the kicker in Cleveland didn't do so well. They've got weird injuries. That actually is something that I want to talk about. So, brought it up earlier. I am from the Cleveland area. I wear my 216 on my sleeve. I have been a Lions fan for many, many years. My parents, as Browns fans, actually scared me out of being a Lions or a Browns fan because I didn't want to go through the misery that they went through when I was a little kid in the late 70s. They were just like angry all the time at the Browns. I'm like, let me find another team. Oh, I can watch WTOL out of Toledo. There's the Lions. I like their uniforms. I really like Billy Sims. I like Bubba Baker. Let's root for that team. Weird that I chose that and have stuck with it for better and for worse, and thank God we're for better. But there's a notion now that the Browns have also clinched a playoff berth with their win last night. They're 11-5. God bless them, by the way. That the Browns and the Lions could play in the Super Bowl. And I just I swear to God, and those of you watching along on YouTube, on X's and Bros channel, you saw it. I had a little shudder of like weird joy there. That concept just, it blows my mind as somebody who grew up in a Cleveland era where they never won anything. And the Lions have never won anything in my life. They've won one playoff game. This is their first division title in a very long time. And you've got 2 of the leaders for Coach of the Year in Dan Campbell and Kevin Stefanski. So as full disclosure, I used to cover the Cleveland Browns for several years as the managing editor of the Browns Wire. I gave that up a couple of years ago. The 2021 season was the last one that I covered for them. But I still have a lot of fond memories of that team. I still have a ton of loved ones back in the 216-440-330419. I've had all those area codes as home phone numbers to give you an idea of my bouncing around. And I would love to see that. I would certainly root for the Lions 100%, but that would be one, like, I don't want to lose to Buffalo. I don't want to lose to, if the Lions lose to the Ravens, if the Lions lose to the Dolphins, I'm going to be, like, heartbroken, angry, disturbed, frustrated. If they lose to the Browns, at least I will know that, like, a ton of my loved ones are happy, and I can take some solace in that. It's going to hurt, but just the idea of the two perennially downtrodden teams that have never been to a Super Bowl and have existed since the 1940s, Lions back even well before that, that would be the greatest New Year's thing that I could get. You know, as we're ending 2023, going into 2024, I can't imagine a more positive way for my year to begin. That would be great. The people who I live with are all Houston Texans fans from our time living down there. The Texans still have some playoff viability. It's very cool to watch them go with another, by the way, Coach of the Year candidate in DeMeco Ryans. And, you know, I lobbied hard for DeMeco Ryans to get that job, and I'm happy that he got it. He is of the Dan Campbell cloth in that he's a former player, a former Texan. He understands what it means to play in that city. He understands the pressures. He understands the team. He understands what kind of team that city wants. I think Dan Campbell has been masterful at that. And I don't think we looked that hard when Dan Campbell got hired as him being that guy and that real experience meaning something. I do think that it means more to Dan Campbell that he wins in Detroit than if he were doing it, if he were still in New Orleans and had that job, or if he was still in Miami and had that. There's something different about doing it in Detroit, especially when you've played in Detroit. And Dan Campbell was here in some dark times, man. The Joey Harrington era, the winless era. He knows, and he feels it, and he wears that on his sleeve. And that's what we want in Michigan. We want people who are honest, who wear their loyalties and their emotions on their sleeve. I think that's one of the reasons why we like Jim Harbaugh. He's a Michigan man. Came back home. Got a little bit of a slower start than a lot of Wolverines fans wanted, but now he's righted the ship, and now he's got the number one team in the country with a chance to win a national title. That means more that he's doing it than if Brady Hoke was doing it, or Rich Rodriguez, or somebody like that. Didn't ever work for them, obviously, but that means something. And I think we collectively, as fans in Michigan, whether you're a Michigan fan or not, whether you're a Lions fan or not, you know and you respect that means more to these guys. And that's special. And that's going to make it even that much more special when this Lions team goes and wins that first game in Ford Field, the first ever postseason game in Ford Field. They're going to be hosting it. They did that last weekend. They've got a chance to build on that. There's a lot of people worried about whether it's the Rams or the Seahawks. I don't care. I think they should be worried about us. I think they need to be worried. I don't want to. If I'm them, I want to play Philadelphia. I don't want to play Detroit. Detroit's a good football team right now. They're playing hot. You want to catch Dallas. Dallas hasn't played all that great lately. You probably don't want to play in Dallas, but you can. They have some vulnerabilities that you can do, and you can beat them on that. If it's Philadelphia hasn't been one of the 7 best teams in the NFC in a long time, weeks. If I'm those other teams, I don't want to play Detroit. I'm afraid of playing in Detroit, and the emotion that we just talked about, like Dan Campbell, this team with that fan base packing Ford Field, that's the last place I want to go in the first weekend of the playoffs. Even more than San Francisco. If the Lions somehow get the number 1 seed and San Francisco winds up being the number 2 seed, which would be a lot of fun. I don't want to play Detroit in Detroit. Heck no, man, if I'm one of those other teams. So that's the perspective I bring from it. I'm not afraid of any of those teams. Dan Campbell isn't going to be afraid of any of those teams. That's just the way to go. When we come back on X's and Bros, we're going to have more Lions guests. Russ Brown from Lions Wire is going to join us, and he's going to talk a little bit about the Lions and what's going on with the team and give a little bit of a preview when we're back on X's and Bros.
Huge here for my friends from Coppercraft Distillery. Now, they're a Michigan-based company, and they have a message for anybody 21 and up. You're going to want to get hooked up with this Honolulu Blue, a premium can cocktail. Vodka, blue raspberry lemonade. This special limited edition canned cocktail is available at local stores, pubs, and restaurants. And when you're cheering on our favorite pro football team, TDs, tailgates, and more, make sure you grab a Honolulu Blue from Coppercraft Distillery.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's the Snowfall Lucky Draw. Every Saturday in December, select the lucky ornament from the holiday tree for the chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. It's the Snowfall Lucky Draw. Every Saturday in December, only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Ring in the new year and get game day deals with one stop at Meijer. Shop extra large avocados for 99 cents each. Select Coca-Cola, Pepsi, 7-Up, or Dr. Pepper products. Buy 2, get 1 free. Plus deposit where applicable. And select Lay's party-sized chips or poppables, 2 for $6. Plus, pay the same low Meijer prices no matter how you shop, in-store or online. Cheer on your favorite team and celebrate the new year when you shop quality and one stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Roast Umber is a farm-direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at roastumber.com.
Merc Perks from Mercantile Bank is here. Merc Perks checking has all you need to plan your busy lifestyle. Travel services for hotels, airfare, and cruises, cash back rewards, and even savings on prescriptions, eyewear, and dental work. Merc Perks also includes all the traditional benefits you love, like online and mobile banking, and fee-free access to almost 40,000 MoneyPass ATMs. So when you're ready for perks, Merc is here. Learn more at mymercperks.com, member FDIC.
Salt and pepper, Tom and Jerry, rhythm and blues. Some things just always go together, like driving and seatbelts. The Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police knows that seatbelts save lives. We know how easy it is to buckle up every single time. We know how important seatbelts are for everyone because we see what happens when people don't wear seatbelts. Driving and seatbelts. You just can't have one without the other.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Defended in the corner!
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win! The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker! Kenneth Walker! Touchdown! Smarty!
Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, ends up.
Yes!
Caught! Touchdown to Lions! They did it! Br0's Brown to the receiving end!
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here! A grand slam from Br0's. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Good morning, Michigan. Welcome to the final hour of X's and Bros in the year 2023. This is Jeff Risdon sitting in for Anthony Bellino, who is out with the Wolverines out in California. Hopefully he's sleeping, but I bet knowing him, he's probably up working because he is a workaholic. I thank him for giving me the opportunity to sit in. For those of you who don't know me, I am the managing editor for the Lions Wire and the Draft Wire at USA Today. And because we are talking Lions today, I'm going to bring in one of my Lions Wire cohorts. Russell Brown is going to join us here. Russ, good morning. Good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. Let's just get right into this. We got a big game against Dallas this weekend. What's the game plan for the Lions offense to go out and score against this Dallas defense?
Man, if I have the right answer, I hope the Lions are listening.
I know, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're going to have to find ways to beat the speed that the Cowboys present defensively. They run more dime package than anybody in the league. 70% of their defense is based off of the dime package. So they don't really have a base package like a typical 4-3 or a 3-4 type of defense. They run a lot of dime with that speed. And the big playmaker back there is Deron Bland. So how are you going to create a potential mismatch to avoid Deron Bland? Are you going to be able to find soft spots in the zone coverage that the Cowboys might run, but they run more man coverage than anybody. So are you going to have guys that are able to beat man coverage? And I think the Lions have that. I think between Sam Laporta, what we've seen in the last 2 weeks with Jamison Williams, and that's what I think. I think Jamison Williams is going to be the difference maker if the Lions want an opportunity to really win this game. He's got the speed. He has put 13 targets on the board in the last 2 weeks. We are seeing Jared Goff starting to trust him. And, you look at the tight window throw against Minnesota, J-Mo hung on. He almost scored down in the red zone. He caught the ball in the flats. He did fumble it, but he knocked it out of bounds, and I think he was down anyways. So I think that's the way you do it. And then just really lastly on it, commit to running the football. We saw them kind of go away from it when they lost to the Bears. I think part of that was they hit panic mode when they went down 10 in that game. And I think when you look at what they've done the last 2 weeks, they found so much success running the football, with over 175 yards in back-to-back games on the ground. I think that they can do that against Dallas, who has shown that they can lose when teams can run the football on them.
Yeah, we saw the Buffalo Bills do that. Talking with Russell Brown from Lions Wire and the Bish and Brown Show on the Detroit Lions podcast, where I also happen to work. You do that with Scott Bischoff, and you guys do a fantastic job of breaking those things down. I don't even know if have you recorded this week's episode yet?
We did. We recorded yesterday morning, but hopefully it's out maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow morning. Just kind of depends on Ash and Chris there.
Yeah, our producers who put those things up are internet challenged this week, so hopefully we'll get that out for you, and you all can watch that on YouTube. But give me an idea. Now let's go to the other side of the ball. What can the Lions defense do to this Dallas offense, which can be really good, but also can lay some pretty stinkers out there? So what are you feeling about the Lions defense?
Well, I was watching the Cowboys last night against the Dolphins, and just watching it, I noticed that the Dolphins at times would bring more five-man pressures, and that caused some issues for Dak Prescott. And I think a lot of it is because there are times that he zeroes in on one specific receiver, that receiver being CeeDee Lamb, and rightfully so. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in football. He is such a difference maker when catching the ball and being able to run with it after the catch. So I think if they're able to send five-man pressure, six-man pressures, they might be able to get some of these home this week, especially with the banged-up offensive line that the Cowboys are presented with this week. I mean, Tyron Smith is been limited for much of the week with a back injury. I don't know if he's going to play. Doesn't look like it's going to play. Chuma Adoga for them, who is the backup to Tyron Smith, he's been banged up with a toe injury. So they are banged up front. If they can just find ways, the way that they've been using Ifeatu Melifonwu, if they can blitz him at times, if they can get Brian Branch involved in that, the way that they send Jack Campbell or Alex Anzalone, I think that those will make a big difference for Detroit. They just have to get home, and maybe this is a spot for Aiden Hutchinson where he finally gets home and gets a sack or two. But again, they still have Zach Martin. They have Tyler Smith. They have Tyler Biotish. They've got some offensive linemen up front. Terrence Steele can turn on the switch. He's been on and off, but they got to send that pressure. And CeeDee Lamb's going to get his. We know that. I don't know if there's a defensive back that can really limit him. Cam Sutton's going to do his best, but they're going to have to run a lot of man coverage this week, and we'll see how it goes. But, I mean, I feel good with the way Dallas has been playing the last couple of weeks. I feel better about this game than I did, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago.
I'm with you on that. Now, Dallas at home is a different animal. And one of the things that's going to happen is they're going to induct Jimmy Johnson into the Ring of Fame. Do you think that's going to play a factor for Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, guys who played in Dallas and understand the lore of that? Think they're going to be in awe of that? Do you think that's going to impact the Cowboys in any sense where they can get like a little lift out of that maybe?
It's possible. I think it might do some good for the Lions. You think of the Sean Payton factor a few weeks back when Dan Campbell said Sean Payton's coming here to embarrass us, and they put 42 on the board there. Maybe that's the same thing. They kind of get the right mindset of like, hey, there's going to be distractions. We're going to see a Hall of Fame coach go inducted here and all this stuff. let's ignore the noise and just focus on what we have to focus on. And I think that they want to put the pressure on everybody else in the NFC. I mean, I think that's the goal for Detroit here. If they win, they put the pressure on Dallas, Philly, and the San Francisco 49ers for that potential 1 seed, certainly the 2 seed. So I think that's what it boils down to. If they can find ways to put the pressure on, maybe the Jimmy Johnson thing lifts the Cowboys, but maybe it causes some distractions as well. Maybe it slows up the tempo for them if there's any type of delay there, and getting them back on the field, whether it's to start the game or at halftime.
Talking to Russ Brown from Lions Wire here. It's weird for me to say that as also being from Lions Wire. This is Jeff Risdon sitting in for Anthony Bellino on X's and Bros. I know you don't want to do game predictions, but how do you see this game playing out? Do you think the Lions are going to pull this off and continue their quest towards the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed, and also lock the Cowboys into a wild card spot?
Man, yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but
I know. I know the feeling.
But if I have to be realistic, I think the Lions probably lose this game just simply because it's Dallas at home. They're one of the better opponents, just off of the analytics and everything like that. You look at what they did several weeks back against Baltimore. That was one of the best teams that they've played all year, and we can all agree Baltimore might be the best team in the league. But, they lost to them. They were on the road. And I know that this game is indoors, so they've got a little bit of maybe a better shot. You look at what they did against New Orleans, who was playing relatively well at the time. But ultimately, I think maybe if Detroit keeps it close, they could win. But the thing that scares me is just the way that Dallas spreads the football around and some of the issues that we see defensively with Detroit. I would love to be a little bit chippier and be like pounding the table. We got this. We're going to pull it off. But it's just hard for me to buy into that when I see what Detroit's done on the road and the struggles that they have defensively. They're not completely fixed yet. But if they can if they can get some pressure and find a way to get something home and maybe force a turnover, maybe they can get something happening. But
I feel you, Russ. We got to hit a break, buddy. Thanks for joining me this morning. I really appreciate you joining us, and I'll see you on the chat.
All right, brother.
All right.
Thanks.
X's and Bros. We'll be back with Eric Schlitt from Pride of Detroit.
It's time to go in the huddle.
1, 2, 3, top flight.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the National Football League. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and be sure to use the promo code HUGE for a special offer when you sign up. That's code HUGE, H-U-G-E, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The Detroit Lions and their fans are still flying high after clinching the NFC North with last week's 30-24 victory at Minnesota. But now it's time for us to turn the page and focus at the new challenge ahead, the Dallas Cowboys, tomorrow night. This game couldn't possibly have higher stakes. Dallas currently sits in 5th in the NFC, while the Lions are in 3rd. Detroit has already sealed the home game for the playoffs, but could get another as long as they win out and get a little help. Imagine that, from winning your division for the first time in 30 years with 2 games to play and still having a chance to jump up to the number 1 seed in the conference. What a year it has been. History in the making. If the Lions pull this off tomorrow night, they'll match a franchise record for wins in a season with 12. It's Lions and Cowboys live from Arlington, Texas, tomorrow night at 8:15 on ABC.
Ring in the new year and get game day deals with One Stop at Meijer. Shop extra large avocados for 99 cents each. Select Coca-Cola, Pepsi, 7-Up, or Dr. Pepper products. Buy 2, get 1 free. Plus deposit where applicable. And select Lay's party-sized chips or poppables, 2 for $6. Plus, pay the same low Meijer prices no matter how you shop, in-store or online. Cheer on your favorite team and celebrate the new year when you shop quality and One Stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
You're listening to Michigan's statewide morning show, X's and Bros, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back to X's and Bros. Jeff Risdon sitting in for Anthony Bellino today, and we're going to get right into it. We got another guest coming in, and this is a guy that I have known for a very long time. Proud to call him a friend, former colleague, still a colleague, even though he works for a different place now. Eric Schlitt from Pride of Detroit, one of the brightest Lions minds around, and we might actually pick his brain about Michigan, too, because he's got a few thoughts on Michigan and Alabama. Eric, thanks for joining X's and Bros this morning. How you doing, buddy?
You humble me. Thank you so much.
Let's get right into it. Lions have won their division title. They're going to Dallas tomorrow night. They don't necessarily have to win, but they certainly will try to win. Break down for me how the Lions can go out and win this football game in Dallas.
Well, I think if you look at what Dallas has done the last couple of weeks, you can be encouraged by some of the faults in their defense and even some of the hiccups, I guess, in their offense. But if you look specifically at how the Bills attacked them, it was very efficient. It was a lot of gap running, and when they were aggressive in hitting their gaps and running up the middle with Cook, it was a very successful rushing attack. And you can see the same type of thing in the Lions offense. They have that opportunity to hit those gaps with their offensive line, and then they can make quite a bit of yardage, I think, in my opinion. So I expect them to come out really run heavy right off the bat, and then when they need to attack, the weakest part of the Cowboys secondary is in the deep middle of the field, and so that's another area where I think Goff finds success. So in my opinion, they actually set up pretty well against the Cowboys. Now, they have a lot of really good, players on their defense. And if you look at their stats, they're really good. And at home, they're really good. But, the Lions have played spoiler this year, last 2 years, right? They've gone into some big venues and won some big games. And so I don't think the moment's going to be too big for them. I think their offense sets up well against their defense. And if it turns into a shootout, it's something the Lions can win.
I'm with you on that, Eric. Eric Schlitt from Pride of Detroit joining us here on X's and Bros. Let's talk about a little bit about Jason Cabinda coming back. There's a lot of fan pushback. I know you've seen it and been on the front lines for it. There's a lot of fans that don't necessarily want him back. Can you explain to the good folks of Michigan here, why he's back on the team, why they've activated him and not necessarily C.J. Gardner-Johnson or James Houston to this point yet?
Yeah, I think with Gardner-Johnson and Houston, it's just a matter of not being ready.
Agreed.
Houston is, he's only been on the field one day, and so it's going to take him some time. If you look at like how they've brought guys along, whether they're bringing veterans in or bringing guys back from injury, it typically takes a couple of weeks to get them to where they want to be. And so Gardner-Johnson has taken a couple of weeks. That's been pretty standard on how long it's taken to get guys back. And so with Houston, will it take a couple of weeks? I don't know. In my opinion, it'd be very advantageous to try and get him back for Week 18 so you can get him, into some game action, even if you're just getting him, a little bit acclimated in a different setting ahead of the playoffs, because I don't know how important that Week 18 game is going to be. So why not get a little creative with it? And so with Houston and Gardner-Johnson, I expect them both to be back for next week. As far as Cabinda, it's really a matter of what he does on special teams and his ability to be a hammer in the run game. And this is a game where, like I said at the top there, they're going to need to have that run game working at its peak. And he's going to give them another element that they don't have. Yes, they've used, Malcolm Rodriguez and Sam Laporta at fullback, and they've been creative in how they've done a few different things. But Cabinda is a pure fullback who can walk up and just knock people over. And so that's an element that the coaching staff really likes. But really, special teams is a huge part that often gets overlooked. And, they're down Brock Wright this week, and so they need another body. Last week, they had to elevate Ferkser off the practice squad. Well, they're probably not going to have to do that this week with Cabinda back in the fold. So it just gives them a little bit more flexibility in a lot of different areas.
Eric Schlitt from Pride of Detroit joining us, dropping some good information there. I want to switch gears a little bit. I know you are a diehard Michigan fan. Michigan is playing Sunday night for potential to get into the national championship game. How do you feel about the Wolverines going against Alabama? That should be a great game. I have said it several times today. I don't know how that game's going to go. I can see Michigan winning it for themselves or being the reason why they lose. Tell me I'm crazy, or tell me that Michigan's going to go out and win that game.
Yeah, no, it's a hard one, right? It's a hard one to predict. I got my degree from Michigan back in the day, and so I've been a faithful for a while. And I think this season has been kind of I'm going to say boring, but I don't want it to be negative because like they've done what they've needed, right? Like they've gone out and done exactly what they needed to do, and so like the expectations were there, and then they've met them, and so it's like, all right, they've gone to the playoffs again. This is exactly what they need to do. Like we're spoiled being able to watch such an efficient team, and so you hope they learn their lesson, and so they can go in and get a win. I think Alabama's obviously a tremendous team, but they're also vulnerable. They've had some struggles. Recently, over the season, they've been playing great recently, which is why they're in the spot that they are. So I'm kind of with you. I really don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up too much. At the same time, I feel like they have the pieces in place to compete with every team in the championship. But it definitely makes me nervous seeing Nick Saban on the other side of the field there.
Yeah, that's a fair take. Eric Schlitt from Pride Detroit. One last question for you here. We got together as friends many years ago talking Lions draft. It's week 17 where it's almost the new year, and we're not talking draft at all. Either of us are professionally. How weird is this, man? And how fun is it that we don't have to worry about who the Lions are taking at the number 6 pick? I love it, man. Where are you at on that?
It is definitely surreal. So like I cut my teeth on draft stuff before I did the Lions, before I was like just on the Lions, but so I've got a longer history in draft stuff, and every season I kind of lay out my agenda of what I expect to cover at different points, and I had draft on there because that's what I've done the last 7 years or whatever it's been now. And it was neat to be able to go through like my calendar and every Saturday, instead of writing that draft article, just to be able to delete it and be like, all right, I don't need to talk about that right now. I don't need to talk about that. And so I've been deleting those articles that normally I would have been writing for a month and a half now. And it's very easy to be, you're like, it's very comfortable, at the same time, very strange because you're used to doing it. And so, it's nice. It's definitely unique to be on this side of the reporting industry right now and not have to worry about mock drafts and listen to people complain about them all the time. And it's just sit back and enjoy what is going to be the fantastic postseason.
I'm with you on that. It's weird, but it's a good weird. And we are certainly going to talk more draft as things go along here. So I got to ask, if the Lions are picking 30, who's on your radar for them to pick in that range? Real quick.
It's definitely going to be like a corner or an edge for me. One of those positions seem like the most needy. It's really just going to depend. There's like maybe 10 guys out there that I think would be really nice.
That's the fun part of this draft. Eric Schlitt from Pride of Detroit, thanks for joining us on X's and Bros this morning, and have fun this weekend, man. This is going to be a great weekend for you and all Michigan fans with Lions and then Michigan. Enjoy it, my friend.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Eric Schlitt, one of the best Lions guys, and also a great guy. Fun time. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the final X's and Bros of the 2023 calendar year.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Welcome to the Drew World Order. Drew Hill, Friday, January 26th at Soaring Eagle Casino. There's a party on this hill. Same show, the soulful bad boy of R&B, Genuine. Ride the pony for a two-stepping good time. Tickets start at $45 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Genuine. Drew Hill, Friday, January 26th at Soaring Eagle Casino.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org. Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
We are back. One last segment of X's and Bros for 2023. The new year's coming. This is Jeff Risdon sitting in for Anthony Bellino, who's out covering the Wolverines. Big sports weekend this weekend for all of Michigan. We got the Lions playing at the Cowboys tomorrow night. I want to thank Eric Schlitt and Russ Brown from Pride of Detroit and Lions Wire, respectively, for joining us to break those games down in the last couple segments. Thought they did a pretty good job of maybe selling a little Kool-Aid on what the Lions can do this weekend. The Cowboys are very good at home, but they are certainly not this impenetrable force. They are beatable. The Lions can do it. They won in Kansas City. There's no reason why they can't do this again. As I've said several times today, other teams need to fear the Lions in the postseason, not vice versa. Everybody's worried, the Stafford's coming to town, the Rams are... There's a reason why they're the wild card and why we won a division already. They need to fear that. They need to respect that. And that's the perspective that I want folks to carry. Like this is a good football team, folks. They're capable of winning against anybody they play, against anywhere they play. And hopefully they come out and show that against Dallas. Not sold that they're going to win this game, but they can. And that would be great if they could. Talk a little bit about the Pistons today. Seizing yet another loss after a great second quarter, probably the best quarter they've played all year. Got a 19-point halftime lead in Boston, best team in the East, and they blew it. It's tough to cover losing records, but that's where the Pistons are. They've lost 28 in a row. They'll go for 29 in Toronto tomorrow night. If you want to bet against them or for them, your last chance this year to win money. In the NBA, the game can change in an instant, but no matter how the action unfolds, DraftKings Sportsbook has your back. This week, new customers can score 150 instant bonus bets just for betting $5 on basketball. Win or lose, you get an instant dub. Best of all, it's safe, secure, and reliable with our 24/7 support. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download Sports Kings Sportsbook now and use code HUGE, H-U-G-E. New customers can get 150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code HUGE. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline at 800-270-7117. Must be 21 or older, physically present in Michigan. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball teams. If you would have bet against the Pistons last night, you would have lost. But good chance to make some money this weekend. Lions are 5.5-point underdogs in Dallas. Michigan still favored by 1.5 points the last time I looked. I have not looked at this morning. My internet does not work great in this radio studio, so I haven't been able to update that very well. But Michigan's still the number 1 seed, still favored. And as we've talked about, they can win this game. I expect them to be the dictators of whether they win or loss. I think they are the protagonists in this story, with Alabama being the antagonist and sort of the reactionary. Alabama's a good football team. Don't get me wrong on that. But I think Michigan has the ability to go out and win this game on their own and not have to worry about how good Alabama is, because Michigan's also really good. Going to be a fun sports weekend, man. Red Wings are in action. Not going to cop to knowing what's going on with them all that much. I know Michigan State is hosting Indiana State tomorrow. Give a quick shout-out to Merritt Alderink from Zeeland West, one of my son's former AAU teammates and friendly rivals. My son goes to Zeeland East. Merritt has committed to Indiana State. He's the first ever D1 player out of Zeeland West, and looked pretty good last night playing. So that'll be fun matchup for the Spartan fans. We got the Classic going on, the Hockey Classic here in Grand Rapids, coming to you live from the 96.1 The Game studios here in Grand Rapids. And again, this is the last show of 2023. Got New Year's coming up this weekend. Please, please, please be careful out there. New Year's Eve. So I'm someone, if you know anything about me, being Jeff Risdon, being who I am, I don't mind drinking. I don't mind having a good time. I don't mind going out. But on New Year's Eve, there's a lot of people who don't typically do that. I know to get a designated driver. I know to have my wife drive me around if I'm going somewhere. Or I know to stay in. I know how to handle myself with stuff. But there's a lot of people that are going to be out this weekend that don't necessarily know how to do that. Be wary, be careful, be responsible. You might be fine, but the other guy might not be. So be careful out there. As I noted in the weather report earlier, it could be snowing, could be some freezing rain around the time of the new year. Please celebrate responsibly and be careful and make it into 2024, because it's going to be a just the way that the 2023 is ending with the sports calendar. 2024 has potential to give you a Michigan National Championship, a Lions playoff win or 2 or 3. Don't count on that happening, but it absolutely could happen. And I'm grateful for that we get a chance to do that. As I noted, I am from Cleveland originally. Nothing would thrill me more than having a Browns versus Lions Super Bowl and the Lions beating the Browns and disappointing all my friends back home. But, I've been here long enough. I have lived in Michigan for 17 of the last 20 years, including the last 10. And I know enough people here that love the Lions, and I've loved the Lions long enough that I can't wait to put that banner of NFC Championship up. NFC North champions for the first time. That's the first step, and I think that Dan Campbell and his crew have gone about this the right way. It's a goal that they accomplished, but it's not the last goal. It's not the only goal. There are bigger and better things still to come. They are playing for those things. They've got a home game. They could get the number 1 seed. Could be the number 2, number 3. I personally would love them to be the number 2 seed. I want to keep playing. I want to play Minnesota or the winner of the Packers-Vikings game this weekend, which could very well be, the 7 seed, which will play the 2 seed in that first round. You get a bye. I'm not going to sneeze at getting a bye and being the number 1 overall seed, because then every game's in Ford Field, how many ever you play. But I like the idea of playing a lesser team, because if you're playing in that number 1 seed, you're going to be sitting on your whatever for a week watching other teams play. I like the idea of having no rust, and I also like the idea of playing a team that didn't just win a playoff game the past weekend, because that team's going to come into Ford Field with some confidence, and that's a little bit more dangerous, especially for a Lions team that hasn't been in the playoffs in a while. Very little playoff experience total on the team. I like the idea of them rolling in and keeping playing. So even if they do lose to Dallas this weekend and lose any shot at the number 1 seed, I'm not going to be too crestfallen about that because the 2 seed's still in play. That means that you're doing what I want them to do, which is keep that momentum rolling. You're hopefully going to get James Houston and C.J. Gardner-Johnson back in the lineup off injured reserve. They weren't quite ready for this weekend. That's okay. They're coming back. Lions are in relatively good health going into this postseason. Let's hope it stays that way. Week 18 is going to be interesting with Minnesota. Who knows if they have anything to play with? Who knows what the Lions are going to be playing for if they let Teddy Bridgewater go out there and play that last game. We'll talk about all that. I'm going to be in here for Anthony on Tuesday as well, while he is hopefully celebrating a Michigan win or licking his wounds from a Michigan loss. And either one of those can happen. Like I said, I don't really have a lean on this game. I think Michigan can win. I think they probably could win, should win. And then that last game, that other game fascinates me. Washington and Texas. I happen to think that Washington is the best of the 4 teams in this, and nobody else shares that opinion. And I'm curious as to how that one's going to play out too. But I've got Washington, Michigan playing for the national title, which probably means that it'll be Texas and Alabama. That's one of the reasons why I don't gamble all that much. And you should be responsible when you use your DraftKings app and go on those things. Pistons, just a letdown. But the year's over. Maybe the new year will bring new chemistry, new cohesion, new things that they can do. Who knows? The losing will stop eventually, hopefully. Thought it would happen last night. It didn't. It is what it is. Got to thank Freddie the Pizza Man for calling in today. I had a nice little conversation with him. It's the first time I've ever interacted with Freddie personally. Like, we've interacted online a few times. Great guy, great human being, wonderful Lions advocate. Again, you don't always have to agree with everybody's opinions. You don't have to agree with my opinion. But hopefully you enjoy the perspective and appreciate where we're all coming from on that. And I was very happy to have Freddie come on and do that. Man, 2023 coming to an end here. It's been a heck of a year. As I just talked about with Eric Schlitt, normally this is the time of year where I'm like knee deep in mock drafts and evaluating players, and I am still doing that with DraftWire, but it's without much of a Lions perspective this year, and it's kind of fun. I'm enjoying the fact that we're going to be hosting a postseason game or two. As a Lions lifer, it brings me such great joy. And I did an appearance on a show a couple weeks ago with former Lions linebacker Bobby Carpenter. He's now a radio host. He works for does some work for Sirius College Radio, but also down in Columbus. And he's feeling it too, man. There are so many. You see Lions alums from all over the place. Whether there's Glover Quinn coming back in and doing stuff on his podcast, stuff that he does. The positivity that's around the Detroit Lions, I'm going to take that away as my favorite takeaway from 2023, personally and professionally. It's been so fun to watch this team grow into something that it is now. The way they finished the 2022 season on an upshot, ending Aaron Rodgers' time in Green Bay, which was great. And they didn't just rest on it, they built on it. The rookie class this year, Sam Laporta, got a chance to set the NFL Super Bowl era record for rookie tight ends. Doing a great job. Brian Branch, getting the pick 6 in the first game of the year, announcing his presence with authority. Still playing really good football. You got Jahmyr Gibbs. My goodness. Got a chance to get over 1,000 yards rushing. Like that, leading the league in yards per carry as a rookie. Some of that credit goes to that offensive line, but my goodness, Jack Campbell showing promise as a linebacker. You're seeing a lot of things where this Lions team didn't just say, you know what, we did 9-8 last year, we got a winning record, that's going to be good enough, and we're going to no, they kept going, and they're going to keep going, and playoff win, well within our grasp. Again, Dallas this weekend is going to be a tough game. They can win it. I don't have a feel for it. They're underdogs. They probably should be underdogs in that game at Jerry World. But as the guests have laid out, as I've laid out, the Lions, they got a shot to go win this game, and that would mean so much to cap the end of this year. Can you imagine just the joy that is out there if the Lions beat the Cowboys and are in play for the number 1 seed and pretty much have the number 2 seed all but sewn up then. And then Michigan goes and beats Alabama. Alabama's sort of the evil empire. People around the country will not be rooting for Michigan, but they will be rooting against Alabama. And hey, if you're a Michigan fan, you take that. That's good enough. I'm hopeful that Jim Harbaugh has his team a little bit more prepared this year than what they have been when they've been in the playoff in the past. It's a good football team, loaded football team, deep football team. They got a shot to win both of the games that they're in as well. And for this weekend to go with the Lions beating the Cowboys in Dallas, with Michigan winning the Rose Bowl, I guess it's technically not the Rose Bowl, they're playing there, beating Alabama, that sets up the start of 2024 and ends 2023 with such, man, it can be tough to be positive in the world that we're in now, with everything that's going on, all the chaos and war and everything. For us to have this sliver of escapism and to have our fandom and our loyalties rewarded, that's been a great year, man. And I hope everybody takes that into the new year, feeling that positive bump that the Detroit sports teams, other than the Pistons, have given you something to really cheer about and feel good about. And the love and the flow and the community that we get. One of the things that happens in the job that I'm in and in the job that Anthony does and all of us who are professional in the media, we are on the front lines for a lot of abuse, and that we know that we sign up for that. That's part of the job. And there's been a lot less of that this year, and I think I'm grateful at the end of this year that so many people have been uplifting and sharing in the celebration and sharing the positivity about the Lions and the Wolverines. And Spartans basketball fits in that too. The Red Wings, for the start that they had, fit into that as well. That there's a lot of that. It locally here in the Grand Rapids area where I am, Ferris State, Grand Valley, the football teams that they have, but the other sports that they have, volleyball. It's been a pretty darn good year to be a sports fan in the mitten, and I hope everybody appreciates that. Again, if you're going out this weekend, celebrate responsibly, have fun, make sure that you're not driving if you have even one drink. There's Ubers, there are the people that will help you. AAA has a program that if you call them, they will get you home, get your car home. We need to see you in 2024 because it's going to be an epic year for the Detroit Lions and a lot of the other sports teams that are around the area and sporting loyalties that we have. And I personally want you to be part of that. I want you to keep interacting, keep listening to this show when Anthony's back from his business trip to Los Angeles and celebrating what's hopefully a Lions win. By the way, I will be also back in on Tuesday. Hopeful to get Anthony in. He certainly has an open invite if he wants to call in anytime and break down what he saw out there. We will have a lot of reaction from what happened this weekend, both with the Lions game and with the Michigan game. And also, if the Pistons happen to get a win, what's going on with some of the other things. Red Wings can hopefully, drop some octopi on the ice. I know they don't do that anymore, but just again, as the year ends, it's a time to be grateful for what we've been given as Michiganders, Michigan sports fans. I know Michigan State fans don't have a whole lot to cheer about right now with their football team, but brighter days can be ahead. I like the head coaching hire. I'm optimistic about that. As I explained earlier, I don't have a dog in the fight in college football. I'm a draft guy. I don't really root for teams other than my Ohio Bobcats. And it's Ohio Bobcats. We're not the Buckeyes. Don't confuse that. When you say you're going to beat Ohio, y'all don't play us, either Michigan or Michigan State. One of my pet peeves. And I'm actually grateful to Jim Harbaugh for saying that they're playing Ohio State instead of Ohio. I like that. Got to give a quick thanks here as we're wrapping up the 2023 final show of X's and Bros. Producer Ben sitting here, helping me, guiding me this morning. You got producer Ryan sitting there. Everybody on YouTube watching, Ryan's responsible for that. Thank you for that. Thanks for joining us. Jeff Risdon, again, so grateful that you have joined us. And please celebrate this weekend responsibly. It's going to be a great time. Be around for it. Go Lions. Let's go, baby.
Huge here for Urban U. They are Michigan's favorite med spa locations throughout West Michigan and also on the east side of the state in Northville. And this is for any guy listening right now or lady. If you want the perfect holiday gift for somebody you care about, you need to think about the holiday specials happening at theurbanu.com. That's theurbanu.com. And for the holidays, Urban U is offering holiday tiers. Until December 30th through the end of the year, purchasing a holiday tier is the perfect way to treat yourself or that person in your life that you care about or your family. And you get your holiday gift shopping done quick at theurbanu.com. And what are holiday tiers? Holiday tiers are the best way to get rewarded big time for investing in your health, wellness, and beauty services. Simple and easy. If you want to take care of everything for the holidays, go to theurbanu.com.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's the Snowfall Lucky Draw. Every Saturday in December, select a lucky ornament from the holiday tree for the chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. It's the Snowfall Lucky Draw. Every Saturday in December, only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Ring in the new year and get game day deals with One Stop at Meijer. Shop extra large avocados for 99 cents each. Select Coca-Cola, Pepsi, 7-Up, or Dr. Pepper products. Buy 2, get 1 free. Plus deposit where applicable. And select Lay's party-sized chips or poppables, 2 for $6. Plus, pay the same low Meijer prices no matter how you shop, in-store or online. Cheer on your favorite team and celebrate the new year when you shop quality and One Stop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com.